Hey guys, Agent Luke here. This is the version 0.2.7 update. Comes from a bunch of items requested in the Discord channel and on Steam. So thanks again, guys, for all the feedback so far. I'm doing the best that I can to make sure that this script solves as many of your automation challenges as possible, but keeps it approachable so you're not having to learn an entirely new language just to interface with Space Engineer's more advanced automation capabilities. Okay, so let's start with landing gear. This one comes at quite popular request. So we've got a few things we can do with our landing gear now. One thing I'll point your attention to immediately, we'll just do a recompile there, is that we can now trigger the auto locking feature on and off. So we see that it's ready to lock right here, but auto lock, if we look at our plate and its its state, we can see that auto lock is disabled, right? And so we enable it, we see green, we disable it, it's still locked, but we can unlock it there and see the orange. Okay, so we can now trigger this ourselves with a really simple command. We just have to go gear/auto, and in this case, we are going to target plate 1, and we're going to set it to false. Actually, we'll set it to true, and this triggers the lock, right? And if we go back to our plate, we'll see that now the auto lock is in fact engaged. And like you might expect, if we go back into mother and we put false, run that, we can now see that the plate's auto locking has been disabled. So now this allows you to dynamically adjust that for your landing gear. And of course, you'll be noticing probably up here this this lighting system. The plates also, and landing gear rather, well, plates and landing gear, they have hooks now. So you can trigger trigger routines when they're locking, when they're unlocking, and when they're ready to lock using on lock, on unlock, and on ready. And this follows a very simple paradigm to connectors. And in fact, we're going to see something not too dissimilar for sensors when we tackle those at the end of the video. So that is it for our magnetic plates. You'll notice the hook firing, we're ready to lock, so the light is orange. One of the other things I'm excited to show you guys is how we can now dynamically set the speed of the three main mechanical blocks, so pistons, rotors, and hinges. And so we'll use our rotor number 2 on the right-hand side as the example. So we can use the rotor speed command, right? We pass in the name of the block, and then we're just going to pass in the speed. And that's an RPM for the rotor's case. So if we run that, we're going to see it start to move at 1 RPM. That's great. If we want to move at 2 RPM, we can run it with 2 RPM, and of course, 5 RPM makes it go even faster. Okay, so let's bring it back down to 1. Now let's imagine we want to bring it up to 2, but we want to do that while it's already in motion at 1. We don't want to reset the speed via the ankle command, right? We might just want to augment the speed up and down using maybe wait as well, right? So instead, what we can do is we can add the additional option, add. And in this case, what it's going to do is add 1 to the existing speed. So if we run this, we're going to notice it speed up. And if we run it again, we'll notice it speed up even more. Right? Now, of course, that's great, but we'd like to go the other direction as well. So we can use sub, which means take 1 away from the current speed. If we click it once, twice, 3 times, we'll notice we're back to 0. We subtracted it 3 times from our 3 RPM speed. So this is my approach to incrementing and decrementing. I think this will cover most of the common use cases. And of course, just to see it, this would also work on the piston using the speed command. So if we target piston 1, we can send them over, we'll go 0.5 meters per second. And you see him move up there. If we want to have him reduce at 1.1 meter per second, we can also add that again and make him speed up. The last thing we're going to cover today is looking at sensors. So this has been a highly requested item, and I've been working on how to keep Mother as performant as possible, given the fact that you got to imagine a large server is going to be running a lot of the scripts at once. And if we get to a point where there's more than one version of Mother running on each grid, computation and performance is going to be super important for a game like this. So I'm happy to say I think I've come to a compromise that allows us to take advantage of a lot more scenarios where there's state changes and hooks. So I'm excited to explore it further. But the sensors are a pretty important one because this impacts airlocks, this impacts landing pads, and I think you can really unlock some cool capabilities by using a few sensors in your automations. So let's take a look at that real quick. The light in the middle here, light number 3, this is going to be your indicator for a sensor off of our nose, and you'll notice it's going to change colors when the sensor does or does not detect an entity. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And in fact, if we go outside, we can see that we actually have our sensor cone here. So we're going to use that just to kind of validate as well that everything is working according to plan. So we are going to fly towards our ship over here, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the mothership. Okay, and so now we're going to just approach until we see the sensor turn green. And we'll notice the light also turn green. We can't really see the sensor that well from here, but if we get out and we zoom in, we can see it is in fact green. All right, and of course we know the hook worked because the light changed color, so let's just prove that point. We'll keep an eye on the center light. We're going to tilt up a bit, and we'll see it turns red. We are no longer detecting the other grid. So I think this is a really, really powerful addition. I think this is going to be able to link in light patterns for landing pads. It's going to be able to be hooked into doors to make your airlocks easy peasy. So I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with built on top of this foundation. And I hope to have auto docking out soon. Thanks, guys, for your time. I hope 0.2.7 is full of some quality of life improvements that will make your automations better. And again, please don't forget to join the Discord channel or leave me a line on the Steam Workshop. I really value your feedback, and ultimately, I'm building this for you. Thanks. Bye.